Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2022 Chevy Colorado, we're going to be showing you how to install the etrailer.com trailer hitch receiver. But before we get into that, I'm going to just take a minute, check this out, and make sure it's going to work for you. Putting a hitch on a truck like the Colorado just makes sense, you know. Really going to open up your opportunities on what you're going to be able to do and actually use your truck as a truck, per se. So this is going to let you use accessories and pull your trailers around and everything in between. So for me and I was looking for a hitch, I'd want one that would look good. And I think that this one checks that box for sure. Almost looks factory in my opinion. Really the only thing you'll be able to see is the receiver tube opening. Has kind of a more of a matte black finish, so it kind of puts off that factory look. And it's going to have some good capacities and things like that to allow us to get the job done. This is a class 3 hitch, so it's going to have a 2-inch by 2-inch opening, really common size, a lot of different things are going to work with it. It's going to use that standard 5/8 pin and clip. Keep in mind though, pin and clip doesn't come with the hitch. If you need one, not a big deal, you can grab it here at eTrailer. The safety chain openings are going to be a plate style and give us quite a bit of space. That way we should be able to use just about any size hook that our trailer might have on it. Hitch is going to have some really good weight capacities. As far as the maximum gross tongue weight rating, that's going to be 800 pounds. It's going to be the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. Pretty high number, and you'll be able to use just about any size bike rack or cargo carrier. Just kind of give you an example if that's what you plan on doing. As far as the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, that's going to be 8,000 pounds. That's going to be the amount of weight pulling on the hitch. That's the weight of the trailer plus anything that you might have on it. This can be used with the weight distribution system, which is a separate component. What happens when you use that, it's going to keep your truck and your trailer level whenever you're towing down the road. So real popular with campers. So might be worth looking into if that's your scenario. But if you do use that, the capacities are going to go up some. Maximum gross tongue weight will be increased to 1,000 pounds, and maximum gross trailer weight will go up to 10,000 pounds. With all that in mind, though, I do always like to suggest it's never a bad idea just to grab your Chevy's owner's manual. That way you can check in there and make sure that your truck can pull that much weight safely. Let's just go ahead and grab a couple of measurements. That way we can figure out what type of accessories will work best. Go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper. That's going to be about 2.5 inches. Real good clearance, but you can use that to help figure out that if any folding accessories you might have can be stored upright without any interference. If we go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, factoring in the lift that our truck's on, that will come out to 19 inches. So if you plan on pulling a trailer, you can use a ball mount that has a straight shank or one that even potentially has a slight drop in it. Maybe an inch or two should cover most situations. If you do plan on pulling a trailer, I do suggest picking up some trailer wiring if you haven't already. One of the kits that we used on this one was a Pollock, and it's nice because it just replaces that dummy plug that's originally here. Looks really factory. Gives you a 7-way round connector and a 4-way flat. So you kind of get the best of both worlds there. But other than that, at the end of the day, if you're looking for a hitch, one you really can't go wrong with. You're going to be able to do a lot of different things with it, and I think it looks the best, to be honest with you. As far as the installation goes, it's not too bad. So the hardest part is just removing all the factory hardware. They're in there pretty tight, so take your time, and you should be able to do this. But with that said, why don't we go ahead and start on it now. So your beginner installation, we're going to be underneath the back of your Colorado, and what you want to do is temporarily lower and remove the spare tire. It gives us a lot more room to work and allows us access to a bracket that we need to remove right here in the middle. It's going to be held in place with 4 13mm head bolts, so 2 on each end. Grab your socket and get them removed. And we can lower this down for now. Our hitch is going to share the same attachment points as our bumper bolts, and so we're going to have to pull those out. Problem is, if you just blindly take them out, nothing will be supporting your bumper. And so instead of removing the whole bumper and dealing with all that, I'm just going to support it. So, you can do a couple of things. What I like to do is take a jack. For those of you at home, doing this on the ground, a jack stand would work. Just put it underneath this corner, this edge of the bumper. And then I also like to take a strap and just hook it onto the bumper and just go to some point on the frame and cinch it tight. And with both of these like this, it'll keep the bumper somewhat in position, and we're not going to have to worry about it falling down or coming on top of us. So we have a total of 4 bolts on each side. And from this point on, anything we do to one side of your vehicle, we're also going to do to the other side. It's going to be set up the same, but you have 2 bolts on the bottom and 2 on the side, so 1 there, 1 up there. And so we need to get all of those removed. And I'm going to be using a 21 millimeter size socket. They are pretty tight, so might need a breaker bar or a larger wrench to kind of crack them loose, and you can come in with your power tool or something a little bit faster. So when all the bolts are removed, you should be able to kind of drop this down, slide it out of the way, and our hitch is actually going to replace this. Now with an extra set of hands, we can take our new hitch, raise that up into position, and start to get it lined up. And we're just going to use the factory hardware to re-secure it. So we'll go ahead and get all of them started hand tight. If you're having trouble getting the bolts on the side started because they won't line up, one thing you can do is just snug up the bolts down here on the hitch. That'll kind of help draw everything up tight and make it a little more manageable to get these side bolts started. Once we got all the hardware in place, we need to make sure to come back with a torque wrench and tighten them all down to the amount specified in our instructions. So with this piece, you can either leave it off. I think we can get it back on though, and have it work. What I did, these little tabs, I just took that off the old part that we removed, that big beam, and just slid them on here. And it looks like it'll fit if you put that on top and line this back up. Just take the factory hardware, get it started, and just tighten it back down. At this point, you can reinstall your spare tire, and that'll kind of wrap everything up. If you're going to be installing wiring, trailer wiring, I suggest doing that now before you put that tire back up. You have a lot more room to work, which is exactly what I'm going to do. So once we have that wrapped up, I'll show you that the tire fits and everything like that. So I wrapped up our trailer wiring and got the spare tire back up in place, and it fits just fine, even with the hitch installed. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the etrailer.com trailer hitch receiver on our 2022 Chevrolet Colorado.